Welcome in, everybody. It's the Cryptid Huntress. I'm Jessica Jones, and I'm here to take you guys on a wild ride. Buckle up, everybody. It's 2024, and this year has started off with a bang. It has started off with multiple bangs. All right, and we're going to be talking about one of those bangs right here on this banger of a show I've got for you guys tonight. This is going to be fantastic. Another fantastic show for us. I have remote viewed actually three targets. Okay, one of them we're saving for the Journey to Truth podcast, which is on after this show tonight. I might be joining Tyler and Aaron for a little bit after the show tonight to discuss another target that I did in relation to the targets I did for this show tonight. Okay, so we're talking about some aliens that allegedly came out of a portal in the mall down in Miami on New Year's Day of this year. Okay, so this is going to be fantastic. Not only did I get that coordinate remote viewing target, I also was given another target. Has to do with alien virtual reality technology. Okay, and so I don't know if you guys can see where this show is going already. Okay, but we have a lot to discuss. So if you guys would like to follow along with my shows and all of the things that I'm doing right now, go to my website. That's thecryptidhuntress.com. Okay, you can find all of my shows there, all of the things that I'm going to be speaking at, wherever I'm going, it's there. Also, if you'd like to follow along with my remote viewing data, I have all of that posted on my Patreon. And I want to give a huge shout out to all of my Patreon members. And I want to thank you all. Your support means the world to me. All of my data is there. I did one of these targets. I think I went in 3 times. So in total, there's like at least 5 different sessions of data. Okay, for what we're going to be talking about tonight. It got thorough. Okay, we got real thorough with these. So you can find that on my Patreon. Okay, let's see. Also, I have a shop that's called War Woman Goods over on Etsy. And if you guys would like to support me in that way, you can go buy some jewelry over there. Okay. Okay, well, let's not waste any time tonight. Let me go ahead and get the show on the road. I have Barry Littleton here in the studio with me tonight. And yes, we like I said, we have a lot to discuss. So, excuse me, I shouldn't have eaten those cashews right before I started the show. They're stuck in my throat. All right, y'all. So, on the evening of January 1st, 2024, it was reported that 7 to 10 foot tall shadow aliens emerged from a portal inside the Bayside Mall in Miami. As people panicked and some shot at the creatures, the humanoid aliens were said to begin attacking as they cloaked and shapeshifted. And let's see, they said the power surrounding the area around the region was shut off. The airspace above the mall was restricted, and police scanners went dark. Official reports by law enforcement state that a group of teenagers got into a brawl and shot fireworks, and the police were called. Around 100, and I guess it was around 100 officers arrived, along with over 60 patrol cars and helicopters patrolling overhead. But all for a teenage brawl sounds a little suspicious, and many believe there is much more to the story than meets the eye. Was this brawl a cover story for an actual alien encounter? Could this be the beginning of Project Blue Beam and the highly anticipated and predicted alien invasion? Well, I was tasked with some blind coordinate remote viewing targets of the incident at the mall, and Barry gave me a target is the conscious alien craft capable of virtual reality scenario technology. That's a mouthful. And we're here to discuss this. You guys, this has to do, excuse me, with virtual reality, portals, mind control technology, quantum computers, screen memories, the gray overlay, and much more. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my friend, Barry Littleton. He is an amazing researcher and a good friend of mine. And he is here to discuss this with me tonight. Hey, Barry.
Hey, what's
Welcome
up,
to the
Jessica? Boy, you put a lot in there, my friend. That was that's cool though. Greetings to you, greetings to everybody in your audience. It's a pleasure to be here again over this apparently very, very hot topic that has just swept the paranormal community like no other. So
It has. Well, it's a hot topic, and I like to stay on hot topics over here at the Cryptid Hunters channel. Okay, and so I was just delighted when I got these targets. I knew they were coming. I knew something like this was coming, and I can't say I'm surprised that we've got aliens invading a mall down in Florida potentially. What did you think about that when you heard about it?
I wasn't feeling it, to be honest. I mean, the whole thing with the police is very impressive, yes. But the fact that, I have a niece that lives in Miami, and and even she had said the same thing, is that the lack of all these people at the mall, and they don't have any videos really beyond what we've seen. And the excuse is, oh, the police were stopping everybody and making their arresting their phones.
Yeah.
And when I look at the few people who popped up, aka that were there, and suddenly their videos get deleted, of course, off YouTube. But excuse me. But to be honest, I go sometimes when I pick up, especially psychically and my intuition too. There's something that's also called crisis actors. And they're those crisis actors that get put in those situations that are supposed to be real, and they're these false flag events and things of that event. And how do we know that these people we're seeing on YouTube that are claiming, oh, I saw an alien coming out, and the other one, oh, I saw a 10-foot guy walking around, jumping in and out of portals, but they don't get any video or anything? And how do we know that these aren't just placed crisis actors behind something that involved real teenagers and probably a bomb threat or something to that degree? What that looked like to me. But I'm sorry, I just try to keep it reality a little bit, and I just wasn't feeling it. I'm not feeling that whole incident. And we haven't went over your data yet, so we're going to see what comes out of this, but we'll talk about the other fact of it, where I think maybe what is being implemented there and what is being done and why. But that's further down the road. So, but I'm most interested to hear, because you can really break down what all happened there. And I know you've got some pictures about it, and what the few ones that are, the helicopter, that must be that. Obviously, that's an extraterrestrial down there walking. Obviously that's with the CGI, the stuff going on right now. I don't, but we'll talk more about it. What I think it was, but I more want to hear your data, and I want you to do the Jessica thing.
Okay. Well, what do I always say when we have a really good target? Never fear, the Cryptid Huntress is here. Okay. And so we've got these targets out here, Barry. One of them is the incident that happened at the mall. Okay. And it's not like the aliens at the mall. It was the incident, whatever happened at the mall at that time of that day. Okay. What happened there? Now, when it comes to remote viewing, I want to get it pretty clear with everybody. Okay. First of all, this is for entertainment purposes only. Okay. I do remote viewing because I love it. I've been trained in what's called coordinate remote viewing. It's one of the modes that I've been trained in for many years. Okay. And so this is data. This is hardcore data. Okay. And this is actually
coordinate remote viewing on this. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think it's kind of important to say that you've been trained in a couple of different modalities of remote viewing. You do different types of it, and it's advanced. And I think that should be said a lot, because what you're doing is a formal scientific system. It's not just astral gazing or seeing psychically even. It's something, but it's different than that. It's got a system to it. And I think that needs to be acknowledged a little bit, because I'll just be honest, I've come across some people and they tell me that they're remote viewers, and then when I see what they're doing, they're not. They're like astrally looking at stuff. They're not. It's a whole different thing. They're not doing the system that's the remote viewing, like I've seen, like when I met Princess Janae from Farsight. She does before I met you, but she did a workshop, and what I sat through it, and what she was teaching was completely different than what other people are claiming to be doing. It's not just psychic. It's a system to it. I think that needs to be acknowledged, and that's what I like about you. You're kind of big on the data. Our brother likes data.
I know, right? Hey, I've been made fun of recently because I talked about data too much, but that's okay, because that's what remote viewing is. It's all about the data. Okay, so when I do remote viewing, because I know I have a lot of new subscribers right now, and people who are probably watching tonight that aren't familiar with remote viewing. And so I wanted to kind of describe exactly what I'm doing before I do it with you guys, because I do this before the show. Okay, remote viewing is a scientific way to gather information, data, a blind remote viewing target, okay, that is assigned to me with a set of numbers. So all I'm given is a set of 8 numbers. Okay, so like Barry will give me 8 numbers: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's just say random numbers that don't mean anything other than they're assigned to whatever the target is. Okay, so like with the mall incident, okay, there's the mall incident. It's on that date at that location. Okay, so that's my target. Those numbers. So these numbers, the numbers for this one were 55132935. Okay, that's the numbers. That's all I got. We're a set of numbers. So I sit down. I've been trained to. I take my pile of paper, plain white paper, with a pen, and I draw out charts. And I have a process that goes in stages that I write the numbers down. I do some automatic writing. I get ideograms. I start writing down all the sensory data. I draw a sketch. I go into stage 4. I write more data. I can do deep mind probes on people. I use this for like helping people find missing people. Okay. There's all sorts of things you can do. It's called psychic spying for a reason. Okay. And our military has been using this since at least the Cold War era. I think they still use it. I don't know if they admit it or not, but I was trained in the methods of like Ingo Swann, basically. Okay. If you guys are familiar with him. Okay. All right. So there's that. Okay. So I was given some numbers, and I did remote view what happened on this day at this time in the location. And before we go there, let's talk a little bit about what we've been seeing online. Okay. And what people are talking about, Barry. Okay. Because I remember when this happened, people started sending me messages, okay, and sending me links to all these interviews that people were doing. Because at first, we saw pictures of, let me hide this and pull up some pictures of the surrounding area, okay, because there were just lines and lines of police cars outside of the Bayside Mall. And it was just unusual. For the story was that some teenagers had gotten into a fight. There was looting. There were sticks being used. Sticks, okay.
The fireworks, right?
And fireworks, yeah. Fireworks are being shot off. So that doesn't sound totally out of the ordinary. Okay, kids acting rowdy, okay, and shooting fireworks. It was New Year's Day. Not to say that's okay. It's not okay. But it doesn't seem like it'd be totally out of place. Like, it's totally wild, right? So, but to show up for just some teenagers getting into a brawl. I mean, there were 60 cop cars, or around 82 cop cars is what somebody said in my chat yesterday. Okay, and there were about at least 100 officers on site, and there were at least 2 helicopters. Some said that they were black helicopters flying around the sky, and they shut down the air traffic in the area. All of the police scanners went dark, according to reports. Okay. So it just seems like it's a little excessive for
I'm sorry, but who's reporting that?
TikTok. Just kidding. I don't know. TikTok and Instagram reported that. Okay. I saw it. It makes it all real. Okay. But people were, and that's a good point, because people were making their own reports, okay, and giving eyewitness accounts as to what happened. Now, I heard things from, okay, so we hear, I know, like the next day or a couple days after everything kind of went down, an alleged representative, I'm going to say alleged because I don't know for sure. I didn't do my research as to whether this officer was a real officer or not. But an officer went on social media and said, and said that it was just a fight between some teenagers. We made like 4 arrests or something. I think they arrested a couple of them. And there were no aliens. Okay, something like that. So I don't know if he said there were no aliens, but he insinuated that it was just that it was nothing more than just kids fighting and some looting. Okay, so but then people started putting out their own messages, and they were like genuinely upset, genuinely. It was all men. I never saw one single video that a woman put out, by the way. That doesn't mean anything, honestly. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything, but it was men. One was, I believe, was a graffiti artist. I saw his. He said that he was standing, I think he was on one of the upper levels, and he was looking down. He said there were a bunch of kids, like teenagers. I think he's the one that said that they pulled something out of a bag. It looked like a DVD player. He said they put it on the ground. Some of them had on goggles or something, some kind of glasses, and they started messing around. As he said, the thing started popping. The energy got weird. Things started popping, and basically they made a portal right there in the middle of the mall. Okay, and that's when things started coming out of it. Okay, so basically they opened up a portal, a Stargate, and things started swirling. Electricity, static was everywhere, and then he said how he described it was like a blob, like a black blob, something that was moving very awkward, like oddly, fluidly, came out. Okay, people started running, panic ensued, and people started shooting at it. Okay, I do believe they eventually said there were 3 things that came out of it. Now, people were giving different kinds of stories. There were other people that said that that there were like 3 9 to 10 foot tall shadow aliens in the mall. Okay, but that's not what the cop said. Okay, that's not what the cop said. Now, I don't know if this is a legit picture. Somebody told me this might be from a from a video or something. It has nothing to do with this.
Well, I don't know about you. When I look at that, I think, oh my gosh, that's obviously aliens in a mall right there. And shadow people. Yes, in the mall. Definitely. How can you argue that?
Hardcore evidence. Straight from TikTok. Okay. Straight from TikTok. I know. I'm not trying to make fun, y'all. I'm not. I just think it's kind of funny.
Me either.
I know. Well, okay, so here, and then I had another video that I actually posted on my Instagram and my Facebook, I believe, and it was what people were describing this thing. Now, this is actually a video, and it starts on it almost looks like the Predator. Okay, this thing starts morphing and moving, like it almost looks like a fog or a smoke, but it's a human-shaped humanoid body, and it's moving very fluidly. And this is how they were describing this alien, these aliens looking. Now, some of the guys were like, I can't say these were aliens. They look like they could be interdimensional, is what they were saying. Some kind of interdimensional being, but no, they weren't really, nobody was really labeling them 100% as aliens that I saw, but they were saying they could have been aliens. They were calling them shadow aliens, if anything. Something kind of like this. I don't know if y'all can see that.
I have a question for you because you know more about this than me. So
okay,
the 9 to 10 foot tall aliens that we're seeing, were those supposed to be humanoids, or were those the ones you just showed?
They were like the ones I just showed. They're all the same. There were what I heard, there were 3. Now I don't know, there could have been more, but I kept hearing the 3.
You know, I've heard a lot, and I've seen on YouTube a lot people saying, oh well, it's got to be real because what you just showed, because that's the way it will look, because the molecules change when you go from one dimension to another.
Right.
So if you're coming out of a portal, it's going to look like that and be like that. So that's supposed to account for that. And the fact that still nobody got one video of this because the cops stopped everybody there. And there's, but go ahead. I'm still listening. I just need to know if there were humanoids invited, exactly what the 10-foot ones look like. So they're still the same ones. So thank you for clarifying that.
Yes. Okay. Well, of course, more videos they did start coming out. And I didn't see any videos from the inside for the most part. We saw a few grainy pictures that could or could not be, may or may not be something. I mean, people are calling them potatoes or something. They're like, could be what do you take that on a potato? Like
do you have those pictures? Can you show them?
That's what I just showed. Those they may not even be from that mall. That's the thing. So there's not a whole lot of evidence.
I thought there was more stuff had come out by now.
Okay, well there are some other pictures that have come out. There are. Let's see if I've got some more. There was okay. I don't know if I uploaded all these. Okay, I'm not sure, but there were some
more
pictures.
crisis actors that have come forward.
Yeah, this is not actually those pictures. Okay, so there were pictures of or a video of what looked like a tall. People were saying an alien walking outside the mall. Okay, some people said no, that was just two people walking, and it was their shadows being cast on the side of the stairway or the building or whatever. Okay, I don't know. I saw it. It was also blurry. I couldn't tell what it was. Then there was another picture or video of like of what looked like a gray alien or some kind of alien too. But you just don't know where all this is coming from. This is a whole lot of social media hype, really.
And this is the age of CGI too. We talked about.
It is. It is, but nonetheless, something happened. Okay, something happened, and there were people that were saying that they were there getting shoes for their kids or their nephews, and they were literally like visibly shaken about this, and just said that they took off running because everybody else was running. They looked back and there were three gigantic, basically like interdimensional beings, tall, like 9 to 10 foot tall beings, like the humanoids, basically. Kind of chasing everybody. Okay, but here's the thing: nobody got hurt. There's no reports of people getting hurt. No ambulances showed up. Okay, people were saying in the chat yesterday on my show that there were no ambulances or fire trucks out there. It was all police cars. Okay, so odd, right? Very odd. Very, very odd circumstances. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get to the data on this because we got so much more to talk about tonight. Okay. So with this, I think people want aliens to be real. Aliens are real, y'all. I've seen them. I've seen them with my own eyes. Okay, aliens are real. Barry and I are both experiencers, and we have experienced real extraterrestrials before. And I'm hoping I don't have to experience those anytime soon. I mean, it is what it is. It wasn't a horrible experience for me, but it wasn't good either, but I've been in the presence of them before, and I can also smell when something smells fishy. Okay, too. But this was a blind target, so I didn't know what this was, and I'm going to go. So what I'm going to do is present my data to you guys. Okay, this is data from a blind target that I was given coordinates. Okay, so in the data, when I first started this target, I was in a crowded area. I wrote down crowded, moving, elevated, tragic is what I wrote down. Hurt, overwhelmed, huge and transparent. And I wrote down the word baking because I was smelling cookies and cakes. Okay. And I could not get that smell out of the entire target. I kept smelling cookies and cakes. And then when I started analyzing the data, I was like, oh, I must have been in the food court. But anyways, I was smelling cookies and cakes the entire target. But so what I wrote down my AOL, which is my analytic overlay, okay, I wrote down crowded area, shopping and shopping spree. I wrote down movie. I wrote down giant, green giant is what I wrote down. AI. I actually wrote down the Tupac hologram. Okay. Because you guys, y'all gotta remember, I don't know what this target, I'm seeing a hologram of Tupac on stage somewhere. Okay, concert. That's what I was seeing. Okay.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yes. So I know it sounds weird. And so for people who don't understand remote viewing, my brain is trying to make sense of what I'm seeing. Okay. And so that's why I wrote that down, because that's how I'm interpreting what I'm looking at. Okay. So that's why I wrote that. Tupac's hologram was not at that mall, y'all. Okay. This is me trying to make sense of a blind target. So I wrote see-through, and I see you is what I kept hearing, that I see you. And then I heard clairaudiently, I heard what the eyes can't see. And then I kept hearing, don't look, don't look, don't look. Okay, so that was a majority of my stage 1 through 3 data. Okay. And then I wrote down, because I was like literally it was just kind of like peacocking off the being on stage, a hologram. I wrote down the world is a stage and enjoy the show is what I actually heard. I heard enjoy the show. And then I wrote I was seeing sparkles. I wrote down sparkly and shiny, engulfed and taken, AI takeover and takeover. I wrote takeover. And I wrote crystals and glitter, okay, and tones and frequency. I was hearing tones and frequencies, and I actually wrote down. This is interesting. I wrote down Project Mockingbird, CIA, secrets in the NWO, and that's what this target was for me. Okay, and there's some more data there, but that's the gist of it. Okay, so for the event that happened, now this is just data, y'all. I'm not saying this is the end all be all. This is just the data that I got on a blind target of the incident that happened at the mall with the shadow aliens. What do you think about that, Barry? What's your analysis?
Well, the fact that you bring up holograms is kind of what brings us here, you
Right.
know, and it's odd because the other target that we'll address actually concerns holographic technology. And it's what I believe was being subjected to people there. It's some type of high holographic technology. And it reminds me a lot when you say the Michael Jackson deal. When I first started hearing about this and people saying that,
Tupac.
considering that if they're not crisis actors, if they're
Yeah.
not, which is there's some of that newer holographic technology where they have the kids in the auditorium and the whale comes in and they demonstrate in front of kids, or the dinosaur walking around, and those
Mhm.
look very good until they finally do away with it. There's a lot of technology being experimented with much more advanced than that when it comes to holographic technology. And this also takes us into the quantum hologram, which would be if these were actually entities from another dimension or coming here, they would be using these quantum holograms, these makos, these wormholes, which is, we've talked on your show before about what the quantum hologram is. When something goes through one of these portals or through one of these makos, like a black hole, how it creates that perfect copy on the surface, and how that's called the quantum hologram. And that's stored within something within the mechanism that's called the mako, magnetically eternally collapsing object. And the same thing's going to be prevalent if you're dealing with micro wormholes or smaller ones, makos. And we'll get more and more into that. But as far as technology, I think that's what that was. I think it's some type of another one of these quote unquote false flags that's exposing people to something that's actually messing up the entire contact and extraterrestrial whole deal. Is what they're trying to do, is trash that. And it's pretty obvious when you look at it, you know what I mean, and the reality of it. But as far as I think what it was, I think if those people that really saw something, I think it was holographic technology, and your data shows that. That's what I was picking up the whole time, that not real. So anyway,
Okay.
if
Well,
that answers
okay.
your question, I just don't want to seem like the negative guy, but I just don't. I didn't buy it in the first. I'm not feeling it when seeing it. And when you say that, it just backs up technology, and it makes me further concerned because I've had experiences that directly connect to holographic virtual reality scenario technology that makes me want to that makes me question all this type of stuff. You know what I mean? Because I know that has been corrupted with
Yeah.
lower vibrational beings, with lower beings, that's been corrupted, and humans. So that's pretty serious,
Yeah.
and it's not just woo woo. You can see this in science plain as day right now.
You can. Okay. Now that was okay. So Brown Dwarf, I just had his comment up. He was asking, well, what happened to the kids in that box? If that happened, what happened to the kids in the box, like the DVD thing, that the portal came out of? Something like Doctor Strange would have,
Doctor
right?
Strange,
Yeah.
exactly.
I mean, I've seen videos of that. Uh, in other countries and stuff. I mean, I saw a video like a portal or Stargate started to open and something started spinning and people reacted to it. Okay, so whatever happened at this mall, I do genuinely believe that something happened there. Okay, according to this data, I was there. I was smelling cookies with the cookie factory or something when I was in those.
You know,
So I know
back,
I was at the mall.
you know, back real quick, what Brown Door said. That's excellent. That's one of the other questions. Excellent. Where are these kids? I mean, were they apprehended? Nobody's talking. Nobody saw anything. None of them have come forward. Nothing. They're just these kids that, oh, they just happen to have a multidimensional device in their backpack and they're decided to do it in front of a bunch of people at the mall. You know, like where are these kids? That's a very good question. What happened to them? Whether it be negative or positive, what happened to them?
Yeah.
It must have been more than just a few, you know, more than 5. You would think if there are fireworks and a fight implies more than 5 people, probably a huge brawl, they were calling it.
Yes.
Very, very odd, you know, but
yes. So
it just seems like bomb threats. That looked like the response to a bomb threat I've ever seen.
It did, right? And then there was another person who was posting on social media saying that his father was running for sheriff there in that county. And he said that his father didn't know anything about this. He was like, my father's not mentioned one thing about what's going on. And then he does an update where he's talking to his father on FaceTime and he said, Dad, have you heard anything yet about that? And he goes, yeah, I can't talk about that now. Which added another layer to it. It's like, well, he didn't know anything about it, and now he knows, but he can't talk about it. Okay, so
well, sheriff, isn't that an elected position?
well, he's not the sheriff though. He's running for sheriff, I think, is what it's
exactly. Still elected position, so I think that says enough.
Yes, yeah. Okay, so all in all, the data. When you go back and analyze my data, there was a shopping center there. There was something that kind of tragic that happened. Okay. And, but it was super, I feel like it was manipulative. Okay. Because there was some kind of AI something going on, like an AI device. There's some kind of hologram going on. And, yeah, I think it was something to deceive the general public personally, or whoever was there. But that was just my data. Okay, so that's just in the data, and that was a blind target. Okay, so yeah, so let's tie that in to the other target. Okay, and some of the information that you have, because Barry, you've been studying this holographic technology, you've been studying virtual reality scenario technology for a long time, and you've experienced it personally in at least one of the incidents that you had when you were taken aboard a craft.
Yeah. And it was, you know, the thing. So you want to go through that, or you want to actually go over the other target?
Okay. Yeah. Well, we can do whichever one you'd like. You want me to go over the target first?
Yeah. Because I gave you another target, and it's just so coincident because the way, you know, I haven't given you any targets for a while, and Spirit kept pushing me to give this to you, and that's been a couple of weeks ago now that went down after you gave the target. And it's so interesting. It's how it completely ties into this mall thing and what we're talking about. It's no coincidence. I see now why I was being pushed by Spirit so much to give it to you, you know? So you might just want to start this another, before I reveal what it is, maybe just say some of the things you picked up on this blind target, which is interesting systems. Like I said, it seems so unfair. It's like 8 numbers. It's like, okay, here you go. And it's, you know, but it is what it is. It often shows the truth. And it was very interesting what you were picking up.
It was. Now, this is interesting. Before we start this, I want to point out Ginger Turtle 43. Okay, this comment is interesting. There is the idea that aliens made a mistake and ended up there instead of their intended location in Antarctica. The coordinates of that mall were backwards. Were like the backwards inverted version of an Antarctica location. Okay, so I was given another target of those coordinates. And it turned out that there's a coordinates in Antarctica. And so that's what I'm going to be talking about with Tyler and Aaron on the Journey to Truth podcast after this show tonight. Okay, so we're going to go there. Okay. I'm not sure.
But these weren't physical. These weren't. I mean, that's a nice that's a nice assertion there, but there's no indication that anything physical was actually there. To
Right.
say they even should have been in Antarctica or there. There's nothing
Okay.
physical there, and just say, oh, we can say, oh, they're interdimensional. There's no proof of that.
Okay,
There's
but
just as much proof it was holographic than that. I'm just saying, I'm just being objectively, okay? And I just can't buy it because we've got this coordinates thing. That's cool though, and it may mean a lot. It may be right on point, but there's something else going on here as far as perception goes. You know what I mean? And the real capability, I think. So go ahead. I'm with you. I'm with you 100%.
It's not about the aliens though. It's about what's going on, and there's always symbols and signs in whatever's going on here. Okay, so it's not the aliens are out the picture at this point for me. I'm not sure those are real aliens, okay? Because I was coming up with holograms and stuff. Unless aliens are holograms, you know. But that was just the data. At this point, now we look at the signs and the symbols, okay? And we go with what we know. Like a detective over here. Okay. And so everything is hidden in plain sight, y'all. Okay. And that's actually part of my data for that target that I'm going to talk about with Tyler and Aaron later. Okay. Everything is hidden in plain sight. So, and this is for entertainment purposes only. Okay. All right. Let's get into these targets. Okay. Because I did one target 3 different times for you. Okay. With this. Okay. So I'm not going to lie. I thought this first target, when I got finished with this target, I thought that I had remote viewed the dark side of the moon. Okay. Because I didn't know what this was at all. And yes. Okay. Okay. So I'm sorry, y'all. I ate cashews right before the show, and they are been stuck in my throat this entire time. I don't know. I knew something was going to go haywire tonight. I didn't know it was going to be that. So I apologize. But okay, let's get this one going. So I was picking up with my sensory data on this target. Hot. So if something was hot and I felt like something was burning. Okay. Colossal, something gigantic. Okay. Textured, cramped. Textured. It was gigantic, but it was cramped. Okay. Cold, tall, elongated, and vertical. And what I was seeing looked like, to me, it looked like skyscrapers. It was some kind of like crystals or something that were like sticking up in the air. I wrote down for my AOL, I was writing down like consistent, persistent, something that was like turbo powered, winged. Okay, so something was flying, obviously. I wrote regenerate. Something was going and going. I was writing down the moon. I wrote something down about moon phases. Something that was hidden. There was a ploy and a plot. And I wrote down some song lyrics. I'm going to skip over all that. Okay. But I heard the word star scraper, not skyscraper. I heard the phrase star scraper. I've never heard that word, but I heard that, so I wrote that down. And then I wrote down skyscraper, and then I was seeing buildings. Okay, what appeared to be buildings. Okay, and then I picked up something that was dark and like a cast, I wrote down shadow cast. I wrote down dark side of the moon because I was thinking I might be looking at the dark side of the moon. I heard not playing. I wrote down the number 13. I was writing down major mutations, bovine, like cows, and chemicals. I wrote down angled and triangular, floating, and I wrote down something that was rotten or rotting, and I wrote down cesspool. Excuse me. And then I wrote down community and zombie. Okay, I was writing down zombies. And then I wrote down major cities, sink or swim. Something that was a whole lot. There were many. Something was going to happen in a bunch of cities. Okay, I was writing down things that were going to happen in a lot of major cities. And then I wrote the word gone and wiped out. Okay, and I ended it there because it was a little depressing. I was like, oh God, something's coming. Okay, because that target kind of scared me a little bit there towards the end because I've got zombies, we got major cities, something's coming, and that was it. Okay, so what was the target? Do you want to tell me the target, or do you want to go to the next one?
You looked at it more times than that, and that one there was the one that wasn't really, a little bit off, I thought. But when you looked at it the other times, it was different. Or redid it, however you do it, because you viewed it a few other times.
Okay, well, that was the first one I did, I think. That was the first one. Okay, and then I went back and I did. Okay, so this is some of the data that I got was space-time continuum, bomber, microbes and microorganisms, seated here, stepping stone, for humanity, final curtain call, excuse me, the grand scheme, grand poobah, discovery prolonged.
Oh, grand what?
Poobah. Y'all, give me 1 second. I gotta get some water. I'll be right back.
That's fine. That's fine. Maybe I'll hum for you all while she's gone. Definitely. But that's very cool. You know, these I think what's really should be emphasized is that she's actually detecting both sentience and biological factors. I think that's very important. So
Okay, so I picked up genomes. I started picking up on something that was like a microorganism, genomes. I even wrote down the Genome Project. Okay, and then I started thinking of like the Sasquatch Genome Project, and I was like, oh gosh, is this the Sasquatch Genome Project? Is this the target? Okay. But I was writing down cellular and cells and samples of blood, like blood. And the first time I did this target, I was picking up on bovine. That's like cows. Okay. So I'm picking up on like medical stuff, like something that was sanitary, very clean. No germs. And that's about it. I mean, there's more data, but I mean, that's the gist of it. Okay. So,
you know,
all right, so that was that.
you had mentioned to me before knowing what it was that you were picking up advanced intelligence.
Yes.
Remember? And that was suffice to say, that's when I didn't recommend that you do it a third time, because you were really starting to get very close then when you said that, along with biological factors and some other things, summing it all up to where I was starting to be like, okay, well, even to the fact of where you kept bringing up genetics and genome, and I can even tell you how that ties into the target, but it's just odd. Like I said, and it's odd, and you wouldn't have known what you were seeing, so it's odd. So I can see why, but you were doing really good, honestly. That second time was you were hitting it pretty good. You were nailing it. So
thank
you.
Okay?
You know, I'll tell you, if it makes you feel any better,
what is happening? My throat.
Earlier today, I actually had some cashew, the raisin and cashews, the bag thing. And I don't know why they even call it that, because I tell you, recently it was just raisins, and every now and again you might get a cashew. There's probably like 5, 6 cashews in that whole bag. Everybody just called it raisins. There was no cashews in there. Anyway,
I just remembered. So, all right. So I'm gonna put a cough drop in, y'all. Okay, and we're gonna continue this. Okay. So I did this target 3 times, and this is the 3rd time. I think this is the one where I was like, Barry, I'm tired. I can't do this anymore. I was like, I've done this target enough. Okay, but no, actually, I thought this is the one where you're like, it's not so much on target like the other ones, is what you were telling me. But okay,
only that first one.
Oh,
after
okay.
that, you started doing better. Yeah.
Okay.
And like I said, it's unfair anyway. So.
Well, I mean, it's remote viewing. It's just data. So. Okay, so I was picking up on, I'm just going to go straight to the AOL. Okay, why not? So I was picking up on roundabout, sticky situation, tunnels, bunkers, and caves. Wait, is this the right one? Let me make sure this is not Tyler's. Okay, that's right. This is it. Okay, so I was picking up on like tunnels, bunkers, caves. There's a meetup spot, something that was very spiritual, and a spirit team was involved. I picked up on atheist. Okay, I was picking up on unknown, losing my religion. I wrote down REM. Now, REM could be like REM sleep, or it could be the band. Okay. So
rapid eye movement, that would correlate. Yeah.
It would. Okay. And I wrote down impervious, diplomatic, and I wrote down lockdowns. Okay, lockdowns. Then I picked up on artificial intelligence, AI God. I wrote down AI God, motherboard, mothership. And then I heard something tell me, I am your God now. That's creepy. That's creepy when you get a target and you hear that.
Okay, that's at the point I thought you were getting influenced. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why. And the reason why I say that is because the other two times you viewed it, I asked you distinctively if you picked up AI, and you said you did not, but you picked up living organism, which is more accurate, definitely, because it's not AI. Exactly, you know what I mean? And provided that we don't know when it comes to dealing with things really like cyborgs, where how far the organic component goes, we really just beginning to breach that. So what this was, okay, what this target was actually a craft. Okay, it was a craft that I had been on board. And more to the point, there was one room in particular I was trying to target you towards, which is this room had like a black beam in the middle of it, and you've got pictures of this, and it's had these makos, these wormholes, these small ones opening and closing, and they look like distortions, almost spiral-like of distortions. That's a picture that Christine Dennett had did for me that is supposed to illustrate these more wormholes that were opening and closing in this room. Okay, and it made me very, very sick to where that beam in the middle there, I had to hold on to that beam to not really just lose it. Okay, and a point that there is like a light beam that jumps on the floor and then goes into one of these wormholes and it comes out another one. We're talking almost instantaneously. You know, I'm picking up things about like how some of these light forms, in our dimension are like fish out of water. Okay.
Okay.
You know, it hadn't dawned on me when I was doing some of those exercises to stop your internal dialogue outside that I might see something looking like a ship and I'll be seeing these blue things. And you think that they're fireflies, but it's too cold outside. And what are they, these fairies? Are there anything you wouldn't think that they could actually be non-corporeal beings from one of those craft? But that room, and the reason why I wanted you to look at it, and I wanted you to maybe see, you might experience it. I know if the ship might communicate with you, I don't know. But this would be a craft, okay, that would first started off as a pure conscious craft, meaning that it's one that kind of materializes around you. And when this happened to me, I wasn't alone, okay? Somebody else was with me to start experiencing this stuff. And that's when you know that you're not just insane, because that type of delusion is not shared. But so dealing with that and understanding that, like, for example, the data you had got when I was looking over all of it, it made me examine like what this craft looked like on the outside. Because and you know, and it's not one that I saw really good on the outside because I was driving, trying to get to the spot where we had had a contact before. And this thing is kind of following us out there. And I'm seeing lights. It looks like it's lighting up like a stoplight almost. Green, yellow, blue, and occasional red. It's flashing out there. It appears to be very big too. All right.
Yeah.
And then pulling up to the site, because I start deer jumping across this country road and stuff. Time I get to this place, all right, the ship is not visible. It's not anywhere. That was a bit of a letdown. But as we sit there trying to, tune in, there are all these fireflies flying around. And when I say that, I mean they're like hundreds of males flying around, and the trees out there, you can see them, woo, 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 kind of like what you see in the Amazon. And I remember disconnecting, and then the experience started long after this firefly type of contact. So it's bioluminescent beings, these fireflies. Hear some people talk about, seeing owls before contact or deers, certain things. For me, there was a firefly connection. And, I have no doubt, I don't care what anybody says, that the fireflies are aware of the light ships. Definitely.
Wow.
And this takes me into something else, expanding this a little bit. All right. We've got to expand our parameters. I met another remote viewer before I even met you, John Vavinko. All right.
Huh?
And John Vavinko, during my presentation, took an interest in this, and we got to talking afterwards. And he talked about one of his targets he had for his team was remote viewing these very odd lightning bugs, fireflies in I think it's the Brazilian rainforest.
Mm-hmm.
And they were very odd and got I think eradicated by the fire fire forest fire. And when they viewed this, the information they got were that these light beings were from another dimension, another place, extraterrestrial wise, another universe, but dimensionally too. But they'd seeded some of their own here, like relatives here, and they were in that forest, and they got eradicated by that fire, and they were here wanting to know why, and they were having contact with people and things. It was something like that is what John described. So again, that takes us into, we don't really understand when we're dealing with bioluminescent or chemical luminescent beings. And this craft itself, what I'm throwing at you is this, okay? Because Dr. Rudy Shields, the head of Harvard astrophysicist, he took an interest in a few of my experiences, and he contacted me, and that's one of them, is this craft. And if you go to the next one, there's that beam in there. There's another picture of the beam and stuff. But how this connects to the experience of not artificial intelligence, but portals would be this room there, okay? Mm-hmm. And also how this connects to virtual reality scenario. When this ship first materializes around me and becomes dense as I am, to where I'm there physically, okay? The first thing that happened is this helmet comes from the ceiling and goes over my head. That's another picture from Kasara, okay? And what they're putting in my mind is they keep calling this a synaptic helmet, okay? And that it's used as a frame of reference for the experience. Because I think one is dimensionally, you're so far off from them. They're density-wise come in third dimension enough for me to exist there, and this pure conscious craft is becoming that, but enough to where it can exist physically, we can be in there, but yet a frame of reference for what you're experiencing in an environment you're not normally associated with, and it's awfully dimensionally off, you're getting sick and stuff like that. That was needed to help. So I think that's what they meant. And then I'm getting later, as before this thing is removed, I go to the next room, is that this technology has been corrupted by lower entities to deceive people, period.
Oh. See, that's how it ties in, y'all. That's how this ties in. All this holographic stuff that they have on aboard alien craft. We hear about this reverse engineering, Barry, right? The reverse engineering of crashed spaceships. Are they've reverse engineered this stuff too? Or is this what humans are being traded? You know, like they say that there was a pact made by, some say Eisenhower, for the ETs to be able to take our humans for experimentation and stuff in exchange for technology. Now, could this be some of that technology?
Well, I'll tell you what, see, I tripped out because one is what I was going through vibrational wise. These definitely weren't people, okay? And it wasn't the government either. This was something else going on. And this is my second adult onset experience of missing time where somebody is with me. I've talked about the other one, which is the morphing organic UFO. I've talked about quite a bit. All right. But this was a different experience. And this is when, missing all this time. But anyway, point being, and I really tripped out, and I'll tell you why. Because without even going over the other parts of this experience, is that one is, okay, I come from the air, where people ask, where do you stay? I grew up in the air capital of the world. When you Google that, that's where I grew up. So there's a huge Air Force base on the edge of our town. And people would laugh because the air capital of the world is not where you think it is. But point being, it made me wonder a lot, like, okay, did the government mess with me? Because I was missing time. And the person with me was missing time. Although you're somewhat lucid, the time you're missing, it doesn't correlate at all. Okay, so then I came across, and this is going back to about 94. This happened to me in 94, this experience. And about 95, I came across the work of, maybe 96, the work of Dr. Carla Turner. She wrote two books that caught my attention. One was Masquerading Angels, and the other one was Taken. And especially Masquerading Angels, she talked about some of these ETs and her experiences using some type of virtual reality scenario technology that was tricking her and other contactees. And I was pretty sure that that's not what happened to me, but I was warned against this, told about this. You can't just make that stuff up. But it made me even go deeper into my own experiences, especially seeing, like, you know, had I been exposed to screen memories and things of that nature, just to make sure. I'd want to know. You think you know these things, but that's when I say people can't just say not everybody's part of Me Lab on their contact experiences. There's a whole nother thing going on. You're dealing with, some of us are dealing with beings, not just from other galaxies and dimensions, but other universes. And what I just showed you is a ship itself. And this is something that Rudy Shields, who is a scientist, not an experiencer, a contactee like us. He's an experiencer. He's a scientist, not a contactee experiencer. He had described, he said, you know, what you were witnessing actually on this craft is a craft that can actually, not just that can contain the Makos, that's what he calls them, these Makos, not just black holes, micro Makos, but it can also choose the destination, the ones with the most coherency for its destination. And that's what I'd seen the other ship do itself. Could see that from the outside, what it was doing when it changed configuration, its pattern of configuration into this crystalline looking thing before it went out like the quantum hologram would do. So this is something, so this is just why I'm putting this up, because this is connected to the mall incident, just so it doesn't seem like I'm going too far out wacky with this. It's because there's some type of virtual reality scenario technology they were using on those people there. And I think it was humans doing it to humans, okay? And you know, it's real serious, because as a kid, I'm having all these experiences, and I have these visions sometimes. And one of the visions I had was of these massive craft, like Legion craft that they would be called, over several, like probably 20 major cities on this planet for about the span of not even 2 minutes before any assault could come, anything, but the vibration coming off these craft, that humming and everything, and people seeing it changed things. And, you know, I got so excited when I got older, and the movie Star Trek First Contact, which I think is the best Star Trek movie, period, came out. But when they started showing up what happened when the Vulcans came, actually showing that. But in terms of something being first contact, I was seeing something similar. I had that vision several times when I was a kid. So then I get older to see first contact. I'm like, somebody else had to have seen something similar, you know? But then fast forward more years, all of a sudden, oh, there's the fake alien invasion. And that has been pushed so hard in these communities, okay, that if something like the timeline I'm talking about has probably been averted, it probably won't happen now, because I think it's this invasion, unless the vibration from the ship nullifies it. But we can't bet on that. This is real serious. There's people playing for keeps here.
That's right, because what is the end game in all this, Barry? I mean, this has to do ultimately with control. And we've got the whole transhumanism movement going on right now. This is dangerous in so many ways.
I don't mean to interrupt. That's what it is. I think this is something you're going to start seeing more and more. This, to me, reminds me quite a bit of the Vegas thing. The Vegas creatures that were running around back there where people start shooting at each other. And that didn't happen this time, but that's the next step of all this. People start shooting behind these holographic things. You know, I personally believe that the Phoenix Lights was a holographic projection.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe not from humans, but I think that's what that was. Talking about the quantum hologram and all this, I think those the Phoenix Lights were. Now I know Farsight remote viewed it, and they had some beings that they had drawn that they thought were inside and everything. So I could be wrong, but I think that it was more holographic than anything else.
Well, they could be holographic beings. Who knows? You know, remote viewing. Here's the thing about remote viewing, y'all. Remote viewing is just data, okay? And I like I always like to say, I do this for fun. Yes, I'm trained in it. I've been doing it a long time. I've even got some of my teammates in the chat tonight. What's up, Glenn? Hey, Kristen. There may be more of y'all in here. There's a lot of people in here tonight. But my team, we're all trained in this. Ultimately, it's data, okay? I stand behind my data 100%. But I mean, are we always on 100% on target? Is Farsight always on target? Probably not. You know what I mean? I mean, there are targets that I do that I don't feel comfortable putting out to the public. So you guys will never even see those. Okay. The ones that we get the data that is on target, those are the ones that we put out for you guys. Okay. Because remote viewing is remote viewing. Okay. You're just getting data. Anyways, that's my commercial break there.
No, I think that that's good, but I think it's good data, and I think to look at the holographic principles to be observed when talking about this, and the fact that could have caused a lot more than just cops we're seeing, but a lot of people being shot up and a mass hysteria of some type, and that's the agenda being pushed, and real contact like what I've had is pushed to the side. In fact, positive contact is pushed to the side. And we get inundated with these things that are holographic images, all this SSP stuff, all this negativity. And again, I'm not saying that didn't happen to those people. I'm not taking away from their experiences. It's not for me to judge. But there's a whole lot of us that have had real physical contact with something different that doesn't involve that, dealing with universal beings. You know what I mean? Beings from different universes, not just different galaxies, not just our local close cluster here. Arcturus, Pleiadians, Lyra, that's like our neighborhood here. What about the other continents? What about the other planets? I mean, it's a whole other thing. You've got galaxies out there in the universes. I've had to deal with some of these beings I dealt with weren't from this universe. I tried when Rudy started throwing equations at me. As I said, no, they're from the galaxy. Like at the end, he said, some of what you're saying doesn't hold up equation wise, Barry. He said, these beings are from another universe. You were young. They probably just weren't quite saying that.
Wow.
So you're dealing with places where thought and energy and space-time are all merged and a whole other thing going on. He's right.
Well, that's very similar to remote viewing. It's like when I'm remote viewing some of this stuff, it's so advanced, I don't have words for it. So I write down the things I wrote down Tupac hologram, Barry.
I think that's pretty good.
I wrote down Tupac hologram. Okay, so when it comes to take it with a grain of salt. All right, but there are some things where like I'm associating what I'm seeing with what I know, and that's how everybody is. We only know what we know, right? So when we see things like this, and that's the problem. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so that's the problem with these holographic, if they're holographic aliens that are showing up, what if they start showing up all over the country? Okay, and I think that they will. I think that this is about to start happening all over the country and all over the world. And first of all, why is this so focused on the United States of America right now? I mean, are these things happening all over the world? Because it seems like the U.S. is having all these UFO sightings. We're having a whole lot of crazy town going on right now.
Hey, something I wanted to touch on, okay? And I don't want to make sure I didn't discredit it. It could very well be that there's a connection between that mall and Antarctica that's because of these coordinates. I don't know, all right? Mm-hmm. But so I don't want to discredit that. For all we know, that could be where the holographic technology is coming from. I don't know, all right? So I don't want to seem judgmental on that at all. But just sometimes I stay in the realm of a little less conspiracy-wise and more like what I can actually, take. But I'm not discrediting it at all. There could be a big connection there, given it that right now Antarctica is about everything, and the most hot topic in the ufology and New Age community right now is Antarctica. Well,
there's a lot going on in Antarctica. Okay. And I think that the whole point of Tyler giving me that as a remote viewing target is to see what's there. You know what I mean? Let's just see what's there. I don't think that they're thinking there's aliens there. We're just trying to see what's there, because if you're going to go conspiracy theorist, go full out. You know what I mean? We're diving into that.
There's that there too. I gave you a blind target when we first started doing this, which was the report I kept hearing over and over again about this tube technology and these were the octagon structures out there
in Antarctica.
And I gave it to you as a blind target. I just wanted to see if it was real or not. So it wasn't me putting in there, oh, she's going to see this. It was just a target to see, hey, is it real or not? And you started hitting on it. Mm-hmm. So I mean, and you can't make that stuff up. That just is what it is. So there's a lot of stuff out there. And I know you have people like, what's that guy's name? He's on he's on my friend Facebook. Eric Hecker, I think is his name. He's been out there. He talks about all the stuff, the technology he's seen out there, and it sounded to me like it was a lot of human stuff he had seen. And I mean, that's somebody that's actually been there and can prove it document-wise. So I tend to listen to people like that, you know, and I wonder if he saw it, if he knows about the octagons and stuff like that. And the fact that we have whatever, I think your friend that talks about the Tartarian Empire and empires even before that.
I talk about it.
Really under that, yeah. Even what's under that ice is going to be unreal, you know.
Oh man,
even better than Göbekli Tepe.
Yeah,
Which is actually they're saying so many miles bigger than what's been on Earth now that it blows me away. You know.
Yeah. Hey, I got to give a big shout out to everybody who's given some super stickers today. Tim Mothman, thank you. That's so sweet of you. I appreciate that. And Aussie Sue is in the chat tonight. What's up,
Aussie Sue?
She's always cool. Enjoy you both together, Jessica and Barry. Thank you, Aussie Sue. That's so great.
Thank you.
We appreciate your support.
You know, I've been so into this one, I've not looked over there at the chat at all. So I haven't been paying attention.
We've had a
I get too excited on some of these too, get to rambling. But I think this was an important one because I think it's really what we're seeing is a warning system. You know, a warning system, what this show itself, because you're seeing that I think it's going to happen a lot. Next thing you know, stuff's just going to go down. People are going to start shooting and hurting people. That's the next step.
Yes.
You know, I think that needs to be averted. We need to try to change this to another timeline that is not that one. And that could start here right now, you know.
Yes. Well, okay, so here's the thing. Oh, and Flying Frank, thank you for that super sticker too. I appreciate that so much. Thank you for your support. Okay, here's the thing. This is super dangerous. All right. It's to those of us who are in the cryptid community, people who go out in the field and do cryptid field research, conspiracy theorists, cryptozoologists, I mean, just everyday people who enjoy watching our shows and stuff. We know we know that these things can be real. Okay, I know they're real personally. I know cryptids are real. I've seen my share of them. Okay, I've experienced them. I've been studying them out in the field, out in the woods. I don't spend all my time out in the dark, scary woods for nothing, y'all. Okay, Montauk is real, and Long Island Bigfoot are in here. Kristen, Glenn, a bunch of people I go out in the woods with, they're all out in here in the chat. So we know these things are real. Okay, and we know things that are supposed to be monsters and aren't supposed to exist are real. Now, the general public, they don't know. They don't pay attention. They don't believe it. And when they're presented with something like aliens coming out of a portal in a mall, they're going to panic. Okay, they're going to panic. We have so much going on right now. Do we really need an alien invasion at the malls right now? No, we don't, but it may be happening in a mall near you. Okay,
you know,
so I hope not, but it might be.
I gave you a picture of this little device that somebody's holding. You got that, right?
I sure do.
You know, and this is something out of my realm because, like I said, I've not had experiences of this nature where I'm dealing with the big brother and all them. That was sent to me actually by a gentleman that's been following me since I first came forward, not really like Sweden. And he says he was part of a program that was called Kruger. And he said that was a device that Kruger had that opened up dimensional portals. And, you know, I thought maybe, well, it's got to be, surely it's just a prop from a television show, but I couldn't seem to match it up. And I can't find anybody that can match it up to anything. So that's there. Maybe that's like the era of the area of James and Tyler and everybody. They would know more about that than me. But it's just, that's what he said. That was a Kruger device that they use. And we know from the remote viewing you did over Earth's natural portals and the ones they're trying to control the sun too, that there are such devices. So I won't laugh at it and say, oh, that's just not true. I don't know. You know what I mean? But I think being abreast of it is worthy.
Yes. Yeah, it did kind of look like light language a little bit, Robin. It did. And, you know, I mean, I've seen a video of what looks like a flashlight or like a lantern or something that I'd take camping that a guy puts on his bed. It starts emitting these frequencies and like a Stargate opens. And I, you know, Dennis Carroll, Dennis is in the chat tonight. Hey, Dennis. Dennis and I did a show on magic mirrors and the black mirror technology and mirrors as portals. Okay. And we see pictures represented in paintings or paintings that have what look like mirrors, but they're not showing a reflection. They're showing like another city or somewhere else in a
Well,
way
art of
far, far
scrying.
away. It's
Scrying.
fun. That's right. But could they also be? Could they also be? Stargates opening up some sort of look. We do know. I know that a lot of our history has been suppressed and kept from us. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of ancient technology. Okay, that has been hidden from us. Okay,
For the
so
record, I've been in haunted houses that have had active mirrors, definitely. And you got to be careful. You go to an auction or you go to an antique place and you buy a mirror. Be careful. Don't know where it's been, and they are like portals, definitely. So
yeah. Oh my gosh, I just looked up at the counter on the thing. It said 1111, and it's 111 today, right? What in the world?
That's interesting. Something about that's the angelic. But anyway, something about that device. It had the spiral on there, which does look like one of these Makos, one of these wormholes. And when taking that and transferring that and kind of comparing that with like those old ancient caves, like in France and other places, have the hand on it, and they often have this circle there. Okay, and when you look at that circle, that's indicating, like, sometimes you see even animals and what look like extraterrestrials standing around these circles. One would be that's the Mako itself, the portal. I think it also represents the area of Earth here, which they call the Richard Eye of Africa structure. I think that's probably the area where maybe you're dealing with too. There's a lot of written on those ancient cave paintings, especially like the ones with the hand.
Mm-hmm.
You got the hand there near one of the spirals. I think that's representing one of these portals in the area of what's called the Hand of God Nebula that our science has found now.
Wow.
It's things like that I think that, thinking that ancient man was just using these square wheels and real primitive like thing doesn't hold up at all.
No,
And the
there's
best
so
way,
much deception.
and the best way to preserve something would be on those cave paintings.
That's right.
It's very interesting. Even in today's society, same thing.
Yeah. Amy, thank you for that super sticker. Thank you.
Concerning the mirrors you talked about, something else, just an interesting thing to look at. Long time ago, and I may have mentioned on your show or somebody's show, I was talking about this. The gentleman that they owned the Barnum Bailey, the connection, the collection, and they were doing it on a train for a while, and they started doing this buzzes. But the gentleman had said, Art Bell had asked him, was like, what's the most weird object or thing you hated the most? He said, it's this mirror. And he described this black mirror he got from somewhere, and he said it was completely possessed, to where they had to keep it, locked into another, like almost a separate part of the caravan. They kept this mirror under lock and key. Very interesting, when dealing with stuff like that, and just the feeling they got around it, a completely black mirror.
Yeah, that could be scary, especially after talking with Arkeem Ra. He's been on the show, and we've talked about mirrors and his hotel rooms. I mean, because there are certain hotels that you go. I did a show on this too. I did a show with him on jump gates to Venus and Mars out of California. And he was, we had a discussion about how at a lot of these hotels, like the Hilton hotels, for instance, even at the front of the CIA, a lot of government buildings, they have these stars. They look like a nautical star, okay, like in the sidewalk or at the very front of the building. And he says those are indications there's a jump room there, some sort of like a jump room, a jump gate, stargate kind of thing. And it's just an indication that, and yeah, it's wild. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on out there.
There's a technique that I did when I was young, and it involves constructing a frame around a mirror, which puts your energy into it and your intent into it. Then you go to a running stream and you place it down and anchor it into the stream. And then you start doing your gazing techniques, your stop techniques, as in stopping the world, stopping your perception, gazing into this thing. And when you start dealing with awareness and consciousness, you start dealing with other beings and entities that live in what's called the fluidity, the levels of fluidity. And when you do the technique I just said, that's like a knock at the door for those beings. and they'll come to the mirror. Some will come to the mirror and start gazing back at you.
I
And you
don't
got
want
to be
that.
real careful, like what happened to me. I blessed the technique before I did it, but this being, this that appeared to be a light being of some pinkish type of energy, came through the portal, came through the mirror. And then I look up, there's next to me, there's somebody's Atlas moth right next to me. And I know I'm seeing this thing differently once it's come through. You know what I mean? And then that thing followed me around for a while. And you know why? They can't get back. Not the way they got here. So these techniques of scrying and mirrors can be very dangerous. Just saying, food for thought.
It's very dangerous. Well, it's all a bunch of smoke and mirrors. No, I'm just kidding. The, well, let's circle it
Yeah.
back around. Okay, we'll circle it back around to the original target tonight, and that was the incident that happened at the mall. And
Oh, yeah.
and I do believe that there was absolutely something that happened there. People were genuinely scared. Now, were there shadow aliens that came out? They looked like it. Okay, but according to my data, it did appear as though there was some holographic technology involved. Okay, and that's my final word on that. It did appear as though there was some sort of holographic technology. Now, is it humans projecting that out? Could it be aliens doing it, Barry? I mean,
Well, I think it's humans,
I think it's
but
humans too.
what you're dealing with is how they got all the police there, which I think was some type of a bomb threat that we're not hearing about. And then the other is this holographic technology. So summing up really what was this event, you've got something that appears to be, and it possibly with crisis actors staged that are saying this stuff too. You've got to be very aware of that. I've seen years ago, that was a problem that some of these people, these production companies, had these crisis actors going places and doing these things look like real bombs and crowds of people, and it was becoming a problem. So right now, who's to say that this could be a conglomerate of all these things? But definitely through your data, we know we've got the holographic thing going that corresponds with what I saw. Personally, I could see that. I was like, man, that's the first thing I'm picking up. It's just the VRST type of thing. All right. And the fact that they're going to do more of these and more till people start getting hurt. It's called mass hysteria is what it is. They're trying to create mass hysteria.
Okay, what about mass hypnosis? Mass hypnosis, Barry. We've talked about that before, and you sent me a video on that. I mean, and the general public, if you look into like different avenues of what all's going on, because we're not only getting hit with these holograms, okay, and being deceived potentially, but we have things like chemtrails. We have things that have metals being sprayed into the environment. We have 5G towers. We have all this HARP weather manipulation technology, a lot of energy technology. Okay, and I do believe, in my opinion, this is for entertainment purposes only. I do believe that having all that metal in the air, all the frequencies, all the vibrations, all this negative stuff going on, it's able to project stuff. I mean, advertisers can get into our dreams right now, okay, and invade our dreams. Okay, so why wouldn't they invade a mall with some aliens?
That's no joke at all. And
Mm-hmm.
I've described before during my acid rain experience when I was in the 6th grade, how this being had told me that they don't come out of the craft often because they have a problem with what I call the MMM effect here. The metals and microwaves in our atmosphere, very dangerous for them. Okay. And, when dealing with that, what you said about chemtrails, there's certain compounds in the chemtrails. And also when I first did, like, I read these analysis of the chemtrails that was presented by Dr. David Blair, and it was actually a scientific deal. And I've never been able to find anything about this again. And I heard some other reports, and they were saying that within these chemtrails, they were finding quantum dots. Quantum dots that's a big on the holographic scale there. So, between that and the other type of, can't know the exact chemicals they have in there, but it's all conducive to holographic type of stuff too.
It is.
And right now they've got some of these new aircraft that they're actually aligning the surface of them with quantum dots. and that's creating some type of a new cloak metamaterial type of cloak that they're doing right now. So that's again food for thought.
Yes. Okay. So I think ultimately tonight, I would like to leave the audience on a positive note. Okay, leave on a positive note. But to let you guys know, like, keep your head on a swivel. I'm not saying this data is the end all be all. Okay, I do believe that we are being deceived in some way, but it's very dangerous. Okay, and if things start popping up and popping off all over the country, especially in the major cities, I would stay away from malls right now. Okay, I would probably stay away from malls, but that's just me. I'm not taking my kid to a mall anytime soon, because it's not that I'm scared of these aliens. I'm scared of the people's reaction to it. Okay, and the general public's reaction, because people are going to lose their minds. Okay, literally, people may start losing their minds. Okay, so this could be a very, very dangerous thing, whether they're real or not. Okay. But hey, we're not losing our minds here. We've already lost ours. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. This has been a really cool show tonight. And Aurora Diamond Heart, what's up, girl? Yeah, she said, "Has anybody seen Stranger Things? Don't go to malls." That's right. Yeah, this has been a very, very. This has actually been a pretty fun show tonight, and I want to thank everybody for being here. Barry, do you have any final thoughts on the topics from tonight?
One thing is just be aware of that we've got the virtual reality trick going on, holographic wise. And to make it even worse, like I've been in the presence of beings that can project into your optical nerves consciously another environment. They don't even need technology. So be aware that these are things we're up against as humans and as people, whether we're in this community or being awake or whatever. It's important, I think, so this just being aware right now and just being aware of mass deceptions is a big one. And I think whatever happens later, that's where I think Journey to Truth is at right now too, keeping people aware. So
yes,
it's a shame though, and I would hope that maybe this awareness can push us to a better timeline that's not one of mass hysteria, one where contact does happen and we become more of a type 1 civilization, part of this galactic thing that's going on that isn't some damn slave trade like the other targets have proved. Everything Tony's talking about, a lot of that's been proven through your data. So maybe we can get on the other side of this. It's like what I've been dealing with, and those have had positive encounters, and not let this holographic crap they're doing mess it all up.
Yeah. Yes, you guys, just be informed, stay aware, stay on a as high of a vibration as possible, as humanly possible. And we're all in this together. Okay, that's the ultimate message. We're all in this together. And so, hey, share out this video to all your friends and family. Okay.
Let's say what's up to Aurora too and Kira too. They've been saying stuff, so I'm in there. What up?
Oh yeah.
Good people.
Yeah, everybody spread the word. Don't be scared to talk about these topics anymore, because they're coming to a town near you potentially. And so if we can all sit down, I know the holidays are over. We're not going to be around a big family gathering usually, unless we don't have any holidays coming up. But just talk about it. Don't be scared to talk about this stuff. Okay, don't be scared to talk about it. Don't worry about people thinking you're crazy. We got people running from aliens in the mall. Okay. So yeah, so this has been amazing, man. We've had such a great show tonight, great chat. God, we had so many people in here tonight. I want to thank everybody from the bottom of my heart. What a great night tonight. And you guys, please tune in, go over to Journey to Truth podcast right now. I'm about to hop over there and hang out with Aaron and Tyler for just a little bit. We're going to go over my other target. We're going to continue this show over on Journey to Truth podcast right now. So I don't know if anybody in any of my mods can put in the link for me. That would be awesome. The Journey to Truth, they are live right now. So you guys go over to their channel. Barry, thank you so much for being here tonight. And
thank you. Thank the audience. I'm sorry for not looking at the chat enough, so I apologize to everybody, but thank you. It's honored to be here.
Oh, it's been awesome. Yeah, I want to thank everybody for being here, and to all my Patreon members, to all of my moderators and everybody that's here, new people. and all my regular crowd, man. I'm so thankful for every one of y'all. So y'all come see me right now, heading over to Journey to Truth podcast. Thank you, Brian. Montauk Strange has got it. Thank you so much. Barry, have a great night. Stay safe out there. And I will see you guys this weekend on Spaced Out Radio, Sunday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. Y'all have a good night and come see me over at Space.